As we get closer to the tax return due date here in Australia, people start to ask the question, what will actually happen if I don't lodge my tax return on time? Will you receive a fine? Will you go straight to jail? I'm going to talk to you today about what actually happens when you lodge your tax return late. The first thing that you need to establish is what is your due date. And there's normally two main due dates we have here in Australia. If you're lodging your tax return yourself, you will need to lodge your tax return by the end of October in most cases. So for the 2023/2024 year that we're currently in, you'll need to lodge your return by the 31st of October 2024. Now, if you lodge through an agent, your due date will be different because you normally will get an extension. So for most taxpayers, you'll get an extension to the 15th of May. So for the 2023/2024 year, you'll need to lodge by the 15th of May 2025. Now, this due date is only normally in place though if you have previously kept all your lodgements up to date on time. So you need to check with either your tax agent if you're going through an agent or through your MyGov online services to see what your actual due date is for the return. And with all that in place, you then need to make sure that you lodge your return by that due date. But what happens if you don't? Well, you could either receive fines or interest or even both. So fines can be issued by the ATO if you lodge your tax return late. These are called FTL penalties or failure to lodge on time penalties. So you can receive a failure to lodge on time penalty of up to 1 unit per 28 days that the return is overdue, and this can go up to a maximum of 5 penalty units. So what is a penalty unit? So each penalty unit is currently $313. This does change at different time periods when the ATO update this, but they always talk in penalty units rather than dollars, because that way they can go and update what a penalty unit is actually worth. Now, the ATO do state on their website that they are unlikely to issue fines in isolated incidents. So if you just lodge your tax return late 1 year and you've always had a good record, it's likely you won't receive a fine, but you definitely will receive a warning letter. But again, this isn't a guarantee. It's not like they say we will never issue fines in this case. So obviously the best advice is to lodge on time where possible. Now, the ATO can also apply interest if you owe tax and you don't pay that on time. So this is called GIC or general interest charges. So the GIC is applied daily, but is based on the GIC annual rate. So we can see the current rate is 11.38%. Now this changes each quarter, and as you can see, it is quite a high interest rate. So if you owe tax debts and you've got money in savings that's earning you 5%, and you're getting 11.38% charged to your ATO debt, you might want to consider whether maybe you should pay that debt off. Now, before I go into some of the crazy situations I've seen, such as clients that are 14 years overdue, I would love for you to join my email newsletter, because in that newsletter, I'll be putting out reminders on when due dates are coming up and other tax tips to help you save tax. I'd love to see you over there. Now, let's go back into talking about what happens in some of these crazy situations. So I've seen clients that have been 14 years overdue and we've lodged all the returns, we've got them all up to date, they've got refunds in nearly every year, quite funnily. And the ATO have issued no fines, there's obviously no interest because there was no tax payable, and they've just been happy to see that taxpayer caught up. I've had other clients that lodge their BAS and they consistently lodge late. They lodge late every single quarter, and the ATO will issue fines for being 1 day overdue. They'll issue that 1 penalty unit, even if they're only 1 day overdue, because they have a history of it. They've sent out warning letters, their client has ignored them, and they've continued to lodge late. So a lot of it is going to come down to what is your track record like. Make sure that track record is good and try and lodge on time every single time. One of the main reasons people get concerned about lodging their return on time might be because they think they're going to owe tax. In this upcoming video, I'll go through what happens if you actually owe tax, what is the process on your end and the ATO's end. I hope to see you over there.